Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. This lecture is on CloudWatch and this is a lab, so you will need to log into the AWS console. Okay, so here I am in the AWS console. If I go over to services, I'll be able to go to EC2. I'm going to provision a new EC2 instance. I do have some EC2 instances running from the last one that I forgot to shut down, so I'm just going to quickly go in and terminate them. You should do the same if you haven't already. It just makes it easier so that we don't get our EC2 instances confused for this lab. So that's going through and terminating now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and launch a new instance. Okay, so we're going to be using an Amazon Linux 2 AMI, and we're going to use a T2 micro. And then what we want to do is we want to go down here and we want to go to monitoring, and we want to enable CloudWatch detailed monitoring. So we want to monitor our EC2 instances at 1 minute intervals. Now this will take you outside of free tier, so just bear that in mind. It will cost you some money. So it's optional whether or not you do it. You can just watch me, or you could just use standard monitoring and just be a little bit more patient. But I'm going to turn detailed monitoring on. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add my storage. Just going to use the standard 8 gigs. I'm going to give this a name. I'm just going to call it CloudWatch EC2 detailed, something like that. So I know it's got detailed monitoring turned on. I'm going to go and add my security group. So I'm going to add it to an existing security group. I'm going to go ahead and hit review and launch. And I'm going to go ahead and launch my EC2 instance. So that is now our disk, our network, and then also our status checks. Note here, we can't see anything else. We can't see things like RAM utilization or how much disk storage space is left. If we wanted to do something like that, we would need a custom metric, and we cover off how to do that in the Certified SysOps Administrator Associate course. But what we're going to do now is we're going to log into this EC2 instance and we're going to max out the CPU. Before we do that though, let's set up an alert so that we can get an email if our CPU utilization is going above a certain percentage. So to set up an alert, we need to go into CloudWatch, and CloudWatch is under Management and Governance. If we click in here, we'll be able to see our CloudWatch overview. And what we want to do is we want to go over to alarms, and we're going to go ahead and create an alarm. And in here, we've got to select our metric, and down here are our metrics. So we're going to go over to EC2, and then we're going to do this on a per instance metric. So click in there. Now, if hopefully you remember your instance ID, I know that mine ends in 013, so this is the one that I want. If you have got other EC2 instances that you've gone through and terminated, for example, you will see them in here. But I'm just going after my this instance ID that ends in 013. And then what I want is CPU utilization. So if I scroll down, I can see it in here. So I'm going to click in there, and I'm going to go ahead and hit select metric. And then my name in here, I'm just going to click in here, and I'm going to type CPU utilization 90%, something like that. So this is basically saying that as soon as my CPU utilization goes over 90%, it's going to send me an alarm. And so whenever CPU utilization is greater than or equal to, we'll just put 90 for 1 out of how many data points. So because this is 1 minute intervals, it's saying for 1 minute out of 1 minute. So if my CPU utilization goes greater than 90% for 1 minute out of a minute, then it will send me an alarm. You can actually edit this, so you could say for 2 minutes out of 5, or you could say for 3 minutes out of 10, or whatever. I'm just going to leave it as 1 out of 1. And then I'm going to scroll down, and it says whenever this alarm state is alarm, send a notification to, and we can go ahead and do a new list. So click in there, and then all you want to do is enter your email address in there, which I'm going to go ahead and do now. Once you've done that, go ahead and hit create alarm, and you will have to give this a name. So just call it CPU, something like that, and go ahead and hit create alarm. And that will ask you to confirm your email address. I've gone ahead and just confirmed that. I'm going to go back to CloudWatch. That's ready to go, and we can go ahead and view our alarm. Right now, there's insufficient data. because we're not using this EC2 instance. So let's go back over to EC2. I'm going to grab my public IP address and I'm going to go ahead and SSH into this instance. Okay, so here I am in my SSH terminal. I'm just going to type in SSH EC2-user and then @ and then -i and then the name of my key pair. And I'm going to connect in. And then I'm just going to elevate my privileges to root. I'm going to clear the screen. And then all we're going to do is we're going to type while true do echo and then done. And this will basically put our EC2 instance into an infinite loop. And that's going to max out the CPU. So you won't see anything. You'll just see this little bright blue flashing thing here. But hopefully in a minute or two, you should get an email saying that your CloudWatch, that your EC2 instance is in a state of an alarm. So I'm just going to pause the video and wait. Okay, and we can see here I've got my alarm CPU utilization. So it has triggered my alarm and it's basically sent me an email notification saying, hey, your EC2 instance has gone above 90% CPU for longer than a minute. And I'm back in the AWS console. If I just click on monitoring, I'll be able to see down here my CPU utilization has hit 100%, and that will basically flatline out if I continue to let this run. So let's go back over to CloudWatch. We can find it under Management and Governance. And I'm just going to show you a couple more things. So we set up an alarm. We can see that that alarm has now been triggered. In here, we've got our dashboards, so we can create dashboards, and we can create, a dashboard to show us either this region or another region. We could look at our entire global overview. Again, I'm not really going to go into that. That's more a SysOps Administrator Associate thing, but going into the exam, just be aware that you can create dashboards, and your dashboards can be global as well as regional. We've also got in here logs. So in our logs, this allows us to do performance logging essentially. So you can send all your logs to CloudWatch. And then in here, we've got events. So CloudWatch events basically delivers a near real-time stream of system events that describe changes in AWS resources. You can go in there and set up some events if you want. But again, that's beyond the scope of the Solutions Architect course. We do that in the Certified SysOps Administrator Associate course. So let's have a look at my exam tips. So just remember going into your exam that standard monitoring is 5 minutes, detailed monitoring is 1 minute. Remember what you can We can also go in and configure events, and this helps you respond to state changes in your AWS resources. And then we also have logs, and CloudWatch Logs allows you to aggregate, monitor, and store your log data. Also remember, when we're dealing with CloudTrail and CloudWatch, Amazon like to try and confuse you between the two. So CloudWatch always monitors performance, whereas CloudTrail monitors API calls within the AWS platform. So again, if the question's asking you about, you want to be able to see who set up an S3 bucket or who provisioned an EC2 instance, that's going to be CloudTrail. If you want to monitor the performance of an EC2 instance, that's going to be CloudWatch. So that is it for this lecture, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, feel free to move on to the next lecture. Thank you.